I'm Wayne Greene, editorial pages editor of the Tulsa World, and I'm speaking today with Ann Williams, member of the Tulsa World's Community Advisory Board. Ann's written a column for the August 15th Tulsa World about the importance of protecting voters' rights through federal legislation. And in your column, you make the point that voters' rights are somehow primary, they're fundamental to a democracy. Can you help us understand that point better?
Well, Wayne, I can tell you that I have lived through the flip side of this. I'm old enough to be able to tell you firsthand what it was like growing up in what we call Jim Crow South. I remember having to go to the back of a restaurant that I paid my money for food, but I couldn't get it through the regular channels. I also remember not being able to drink from a public water fountain that had cool water in it. I can also remember not being able to use restrooms in public facilities that our money paid for. So I'm afraid that so many people have forgotten that, and they don't realize what it's like to be under the control of other people who vote. So I can remember when the original voting rights bill passed. And I can also remember that there was something on the books called the 15th Amendment that guaranteed the right to vote to all people, regardless of race, creed, or previous servitude, is what I believe they called it. So somehow that was not interpreted to go to people of color, which I am. I think that there's a saying, if you don't lose it, you use it, you lose it. And that's what I'm afraid is happening now. Too many people think that it's okay not to go and vote for city council. Too many people have sat back. I remember, I believe it was the last city council race where people were elected with less than 1,000 votes. Excuse me. You're gonna let your whole voice be dwindled down to less than 1,000 people making that decision for you. And I'm just wanting for us to wake up and smell the coffee, if you will, before it's too late. If we do not get people on board this legislation, you may lose out, and it will continue to be dwindled away piece by piece, state by state, and you won't have these rights again. And it's awfully difficult to recover and go back and try and get it rather than keep it while you have it.
So what can ordinary Tulsans, people who aren't particularly wealthy or powerful or influential, what can they do to get on board, as you say it?
One person, one vote. It doesn't, my vote is just as powerful as, say, the mayor's vote or the governor's vote or anyone's vote. One vote. And your one vote can change mountains. Look at what happened in Georgia. For the first time, we have not one, but two people representing Georgia that are not Republicans. So if Georgia can do it, I happen to believe that it can eventually happen even in Oklahoma. But that even if we're not talking about sending people to Congress to represent us, just start locally. Go out and vote. I don't care if it's for your local dog catcher. Don't let a race come that you don't participate in. Because if it's important enough for us to print ballots, it's important enough for you to go out and use that ballot and use your voice. What can we do, Wayne? I'll tell you what, I'm a mouthy person and I'm always on the phone with someone. So when I'm on the phone, why not talk about what's really happening in this world rather than what's happening on TV on the housewives of this, that, and the other. Also, we all have some form of grouping, whether it's going to the senior citizens homes, going to church, going to school. Talk about it. Hey, did you know that there's an election coming up? Are you aware that the voting rights bill is coming up? And we need votes. And it doesn't matter who you are or where you are, let's vote on it. And if you're not registered, let me take you down to the board and get registered. Or I have some forms in my pocket. Let me register you and take it down to the voter registration office. We can do anything. Let's say, don't be caught without a mask on. Don't be caught without some registration forms in your purse too. You can register your friends who don't want to go to get registered. Take the registration form to them and have them register with you, someone they trust. I think the pulpit needs to be used more in this way. We have the attention of a group of people at church. Why don't you remind them, pastors, that this bill is coming up? Call your legislator, call them more than one time. Yes, he probably will ignore it, but at least he knows he's getting calls saying that you want him to vote for you, because it's you that will be disenfranchised if you don't have that right to vote. And believe me, if it's not a right, it will eventually be taken away from you. So I like, and I'm not one that's on Twitter. I'm not one that's really on Facebook that much unless it's a live feed, but use those social platforms for good. Some people are not using them for good, but you be the exception. Use it for good. Use it for something that can make history. And more than anything else, I really like John Lewis's "Let's get in trouble, but let's get in good trouble." Good trouble that will say that we are worth fighting for. We are worth what the people died for, our right to vote. Several died. And people are continuing to have to give blood, sweat, and tears for us to have that right. And I want us to show our appreciation by using that right and by helping others to use it.
Such an important message, and you express it so passionately. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
You're quite welcome, Wayne, and I thank you for giving me the time.